In the room, I'm sure we all have this same problem, but there are things in our life that it's really easy to just give it to God, to just let go and let God. It's easy to just say, okay, God, I trust you. I know you're going to work this out, and he does every time. Works miracles. But then there are also times that you're like, I'm not sure if you can really handle this because there's so many obstacles in the way, and I don't know. Let me try it on my own first. And if y'all are like me, every time we stumble and we fall and we get hurt, scrape our knee, and then we come back begging God, I'm sorry, try this again. And sometimes we give it to God, and then sometimes we're like, yeah, I'm gonna try again. Maybe I just need to do something different. So I'm gonna share a poem with you tonight that came from a situation like that in my life. So the one thing that I'm still working on, that I have trouble trusting God completely with, is sending me my mate, sending me love. Because I have certain things that I want, and I have certain things about me that some men may not be willing to accept, i.e., I'm not having sex till marriage. 90% of men in this culture are not okay with that. So it's a struggle for me. And I say I trust God and I give it to him, but then I go out and I make choices that are not trusting of God. And then I get hurt and I scrape my knee and I come back with my hands lifted like, please God, I'm sorry. So that's where this poem came from. When we're finished, we're gonna have a group discussion about times in our life that we have trusted God and the outcome of that, and then times of our life that we haven't and the outcome of that. So keep that in mind as I'm sharing my poem. The title to this poem is called The Wait Box. He said to wait for him. He said to place my heart in eternity's box and give him the key. Treasures locked away for safekeeping, guarded. He promised me fields of lilies that we would run through together, hand in hand, if only I trusted him. But he said I had to wait till springtime, because that's the only appropriate time for flowers to grow. And in the spring, he would rain joy on the roots of my dehydrated heart, roots to thirst no more. Because he said he would never hurt me, and that my soul mirrored his most prized possession, possessed by agape from heaven. But I didn't listen. Instead, I allowed my heart to stand on the street at night as if waiting on love to pay the price for me, downgraded my price, discounts for void fillers. And every time I pried open my box with a crowbar, I didn't hear his screams of warning sirens. All I heard were society's whispers and side eyes whispering in my heart reminders of what was missing. Kissing empty promises as they flew by in the wind, wondering why tomorrow had to do it all over again. You see, this box hidden behind my ribcage was once shiny and new. Pretty ribbons and decorations designed for attention, a box designed with the highest intentions, meant to share with only the gift wrapper himself. But anxiety-ripped wrappings now looked torn at the seams, impatient ribbons tangled and knotted from being untied in the dark, a work of art that was supposed to be locked away because he said to wait for him. Sitting in the waiting room of my heart, waiting on the doctor to prescribe the medicine that would cure loneliness, elixirs to heal broken hearts and stitches to close open wounds, but how can the doctor give me my prescription if I leave the waiting room? If I go out into the world and try to heal my own afflictions, thinking my heart is strong enough, only to get wrapped back up in the same old addictions, creating street pharmacies disguised as heart clinics, Band-Aids only to hide the void but not to heal it. But every time I keep trying to steal this box from him, he accepts it back with open arms, every time. And even though this box may be a little more torn and tattered, what matters is that he wraps it back in his love and makes it new again. because he said to wait for him. And if I wait, he promises to give me a key that will open a box I never even knew I deserved. And that he will protect my key and only give it to the one who he designed it for, so that our locks will be calibrated with the same combinations and our hearts will be filled with the same revelations, and I will never have to worry about losing my key because my locksmith will have tied it to my heart securely. So until then, I will give up possession of my keychain. I will stop trying to fit my key into undeserving locks, and I will seal my box with the type of tape that only his love can break. Because he said he would never hurt me, and that I should stop hurting myself. And he said to trust that springtime will come, blooming flowers with the scent of his will, and I will, because he said to wait for him. Thank you. Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you. So, I'm glad y'all enjoyed that. So clearly, my problem is I trust God with my heart, and then I go out and I try to take it on my own, and it just doesn't work out because it's not his will for my life. But you know, there are times in my life when I have given my will to God, and he's like come through for me. So an example I have for you is when I moved here to Charlotte. I'll be quick with this, but I owned a condo in Atlanta before I moved here, and it wouldn't sell. Nobody would buy it. And month after month, I'm preparing to come here, and no one's buying the house. No one, and I'm like, well, what am I going to do? Everyone's those people in my ear, like Josh said, telling me, well, you can't move if you don't sell your house. You can't pay rent and a mortgage. How are you going to do this? God, you just need to stay here. You're tripping. You don't even need to move. Why are you moving? But in my heart, I knew that God wanted me to move. I knew it. There was no doubt in my mind, so I gave it to God, and I said, okay, I'm just going to keep going with the path. I got my job here. I got my apartment. Still didn't sell my house. I moved up here, packed all my stuff. Still didn't sell my house. Long story short, the day that I had to pay the next mortgage, when I didn't have rent and mortgage, I got someone to rent my condo, okay? They rented it for a whole year, and then it sold a year later. Not when I wanted it to sell, a year later when God wanted it to sell. You know how much more taxes I got this year because I still have my condo? If I had sold it like I wanted to, I wouldn't have got that. God knows the plans that come after. We just have to trust it, right? Okay. So in your groups, and usually we work in table groups, but I would really prefer you guys to work in like groups of 3 or 4 at your table, because you're going to be sharing kind of intimately, only if you're comfortable. If you don't feel like sharing, please don't feel obligated. But on your worksheet, there's a box on the back for you to think of a time when you trusted God and you gave it to him and he came through for you. And then think of a time where maybe you still haven't completely given it to him and you keep tripping up, or you see the results of this doubt that you have. And discuss it in your group. Share your stories with each other. And then when we're done, if anyone wants to share just some revelations or something that you came to at the table, that would be great. You know, it's really funny how when you share things with people, you realize the connections that you had with someone that you didn't even know, like, oh, that kind of happened to me too. You know what I'm saying? So, all right. How long, Josh? Like about 10, 15 minutes. 10, 15 minutes. Go ahead and get started.